Good morning, traders. Paul here with GammaEdge. Today is Thursday, the 16th of February. Let's get started. Pause your players here. Read to the very bottom. If you agree, hit that play button. Overall, summary for today is still bullish, despite the news, etc., that we had some weakness at 8:30 Eastern Time. Short term, our daily and intraday cumulative tick timer here is on a continuation long. Nothing to reverse that, but of course it is not predictive. Long term, we have had one of the ribbon slopes move positive, one is negative. This is improving to the bullish side and is a good place. You'll see that here coming up. Market breadth, as viewed by the 52-week new high, new lows, was stronger than the previous day, again showing broad participation in the market. That's bullish. 4,200 remains the right goalpost. 43 looks like it could be a possible second place, and then the 4175 line in the SPX looks really, really close to the 4,300. Overall, we're taking that as a bullish setup, and we like it. To the downside, we had 4,000 as a dominant strike yesterday due to the zero DTE crowd, of course. We're back to that 3,800 line. This is where we've been for some time now. It's a very solid structure. 3,900 does look like the next level, and we also take this as bullish because when we drop away from spot price, it shows that the put speculators are throwing in the towel. The SPX structures, both in the combo, which is the AM plus PM, as well as the individual PM, look solidly bullish. The structures are intact. When we see OTM call deltas dominate the overhead and ITM call deltas dominate below us, there's a lot of room to absorb any news events. Contrarian view, I know there are a few folks in our Discord who would say this. We are stacked on one side of the boat, and that could cause a tipping, so just be aware of any weakness that could creep in, push us down into transition, for instance. But nevertheless, we're solidly on a good footing here for continued move to the upside. The transition structures, which is where we get safe hiding places for delta and gamma. We tend to park in these zones overnight, as well as across weekends or 3-day periods. Really range from the 4080 to that 4140. This has moved up just slightly on the upside. We were at 4120 yesterday. So we are getting a little extended. When the transition range extends and is not well defined, we start looking for chop. And so if we get trapped between this 4080 and 4140 zone, we might see a little bit of noise, especially going into to Friday's expiring. For the zero DTE folks, we should be aware that right now we're balanced at 4150. We've got a low side at 4100 and an upside at 4200 in the shortest of time frames. We're looking at that 4128 as a lower monetization level. We'll probably gap below that today, so we would be watching for actually some monetization there. And then the 4173 would be the upside target on a short-term basis. When we take a look at the market model, like I said, we have a continuation day. The bolded white line is the cumulative tick, and it closed higher. It's day 3. You can see where it's been just moving up. It's a good strong signal. We like it. Over here, we've got this railroad track pattern that actually started back here, continued yesterday despite some weakness in the middle of the day, and then even though we had some weakness yesterday, it continued higher. And now we're about ready to break above the what we call the historical moving averages of the ribbon. And when we break above that ribbon, that's important. When we cross above that, that turns the slopes of the ribbon positive. We've actually tested for that scenario. We call that tag combo 14, and you can see that right here. It's true if the CT is long and one of the MAs has a positive slope. So now we're just getting to the point where we're going to have a positive slope on both of them. If the trend continues up, we will continue our bullish sense or presence. If we get a reversal down, we would look to potentially not cross the shortest term moving averages, the railroad track pattern. If we do cross that, then everything turns off and we start looking to the bearish side of the case. But we're not there today. Just want to highlight that entry at the open using 2x bull ETFs. We've extensively back tested this. This is this tag combo 14 as well as tag combo 9 and 7, and you can read about those right down here. They do have a positive expectation. Large number of trades over a long period of time, over 10 years plus. We've done this with our partnership with EdgeRater, and would urge everyone to learn how to use this. It will keep you on the right side of the trade, and has been, like I said, extensively back tested. When we take a look at the various setups, because we are long, we've got some long setups that you can run in the scans. We do have that CT continuation where, like I said, we're in day 3. We do have that because we did cross the ribbon. We've got a long trigger. It's a little bit weaker than the other signals, which are more present and more impactful. In the 0 gex to plus transworld, these are the symbols that we're looking at. FSLR looks like it could pull back and be a member of both of these different scans, so watch those. Plus trans up to plus gex could be another one. Costco's in there, Cisco's in there, and of all of Peloton, if you can believe that. So these might present some short-term upside opportunities. And then XME, XRT, and XLC are all looking like they could be good entries to the long side. So I want everyone to pay attention to those also. When we take a look at the overall structures, over here on the left is the PM structure. Over here on the right is the combo structure, which is the AM plus PM. We're seeing just a continued improvement in the deltas here. This means we've got more calls going in or puts coming out. Could be a combination of both. That is short-term bullish. Same thing over here. Same type of structure, which is it's positive. It's good. And so we want to make sure that we're paying attention to that. We did drop, like I said yesterday. We had minus gex up here at 4,000. We did drop down. We take that as bullish. When we see it drop in the minus gex level, the bears are throwing in the towel, and we'll just have to wait and see what happens there. Taking a look at the PM structure, which is really the traded part of this, you'll see a lot of single legs go in and multi-legs, of course, but this is less institutional, we think, and more of the retail traders. Call speculation to the upside is alive and well. In the money calls to the downside are solidly green. Looks really, really strong. I just want everyone, you can't make this up. This is just solid performance in the SPX. So we should be able, if we do play in this area today, which is the transition range, there's a lot of absorption that can go on. So we're not too worried about this. Below 40.80, things get a little more interesting. We've got this JPM out here. This is the end of month March short call strikes at 40.65. They're not liquid, but they certainly are present. And so be looking at that level. And then we've got this other transition range, which we've been tracking now for a couple of weeks. If we do get down into this area, this could be another resting zone that would embolden, I think, the bears, and we want to be attentive to that. Monetization level, this 41.28 right up in this zone is going to be something to watch here for today. And then, of course, the 41.73 area up here is going to be where if we push up into that, then the balance shifts where we have out of the money calls going into the money, and we could actually get some monetization pushing us back down. So we're expecting this 41.28, 41.73 as being a real area to watch for today. Transition into next week, about the same. Look at that, 40.80, 41.40, important. If we play in this area, we may get trapped, which is okay. I'm not worried about it too much. Here's that 40.50 zone. Not overly strong next week. So after the expiry, we would like to see this number. This would be indicative of short-term call gamma really dominating the conversation. It's not. It's relatively balanced next week. So that could introduce some weakness, especially if the bears come out of the woodwork and start opening speculative puts to the downside. Remember, they are in the money above the yellow line. They are out of the money below the yellow line. So you can see a little bit of the red starting to creep in. These are the put deltas starting to dominate these strikes. So we're going to watch this. So a little bit of maybe a crack in the ice for next week, but not anything that I would get overly concerned about where we are right now. Taking a look at the 0 DTE, very clean structure to the north. 4200, 4150 is where we are. It's near where we closed. Some calls coming off today, something to pay attention to. This isn't a very strong number in terms of the OI that's vaporizing. 4,100 really does represent the line in the sand for the 0DTE crowd today. 4090, I did include that in the circle here for a reason. We've got kind of this double whammy going in at 4100 for 4090, and want to pay attention to that. We'll have to wait and see what happens if we do open. We could test this lower range or maybe even the 4085. I don't expect going any lower, but if we do, then watch this 4065 and 4060 zone, which could be another hiding area. You can see the weakness in the deltas right here. It's the node that's developing is present and something just to be aware of. Taking a look at the 1DT, which is tomorrow's expiry, very clean up to that 4205 zone to the north. So the call speculators are there. 4180 looks to be a secondary node. So if we push upwards tomorrow or into the close today, getting positioned for tomorrow, you'll see these grow dramatically. Again, look at this 4080. 4140, it's a consistent theme. The structure is absolutely sound. We haven't seen this good of a structure for a while. So if we get trapped in the transition, that 4080 really will become a line in the sand and something we'll have to pay attention to. Last two slides here. First of all, just the green as far as the eye can see in terms of the delta. So call speculators are out there. They're doing what they need to do. The put speculators really are nowhere to be seen. The in-the-money calls are really dominating the conversation. We've got a good structure, right? So just be aware. We're going to need a lot of puts going in this area in order to start flipping the structure and making it more put dominated. We're nowhere near that right now. So it doesn't mean it can't happen. We certainly can reverse. But the structure is very sound. We've got a lot of buffer to absorb any downside movement. So that 4080, 4125 zone, I think, is important. It's not 4140 in the combo. It's 4125. So just be aware of those playing areas. And as we move around, here's the 4100 line. You can see it's not as definitive as it is in the SPX. Part of this is the contribution from the SPX, the PM settled. But the bottom line is that the 4100 is it's a real level. You can see the numbers here yourself, but it's also not the level, right? It's if we violate 4100, it's kind of a meh, whatever. 4085, 4090, all are possibilities. You can see we've got some gamma nodes developing there, and then the 4065, which is the JPM again that I talked about. So. Playing in this area down to about 4080 does not concern us, and it shouldn't concern you. Just make sure that if you're out over your skis, you manage your risk accordingly. That's an important thing. So last slide, PlusGex 4200 growing, of course. We moved up yesterday. That all goes with moving up in the overall structure. 4300 here, 3800 down here, 39 are kind of resuming the downside moves. The transition is emerging. It's moving up. We see this as good. We'd like to see this. The next thing would be a reduction in that 4100 as we do push up higher. And when we see transition moving up, that's indicative of the entire complex moving up, and it's actually quite healthy. Line in the sand, 4030. If we lose 4030, my personal sentiment will be to really look seriously at entering some longer term short positions, put positions or put spreads in the SPX and just really take wide and take advantage of a broad move down. If we stay above this 4100, maybe right here at the 4080 zone, I might add to my longs. And then with this new emergent area, this 4110, 4120 area, it's a resting zone. So what could happen in the SPX, just why we watch these transition areas, is we could park in these areas. And you can see we've got some buffer. We got a node, it's where we call it a zero. It's where it flips back and forth. And so we're able to reduce our gamma exposure, and when we marry this up with the delta exposure, we get some areas that are parking zones. So overall, very solid structure, looking good to the upside. We're not worried about a potential drop right now, unless we violate some of these lower levels, and then the data will compel us to go the other direction, and that's okay. That's what we do. So stay fluid, keep an open mind, and certainly make sure that you're able to play as your thesis dictates. So that's it for today. If you have any questions, comments, would urge you to come into GammaEdge.us, click on this or type this into your browser. Go to the pricing tab, which is in the upper right-hand corner. Fill out the blanks. 14-day free trial. All the tools turned on. Great group of traders. A lot to go through and see how this could apply to your trading style. Follow us on Twitter, please. We do tweet from time to time, every day or so. And then here on YouTube, of course, two things. First of all, if you like today's content, you find it actionable, smash that like button. It gives me immediate feedback that I'm doing the right things for you. And then two, subscribe. And when you subscribe, you get notified when Taylor posts, when I post, and when Michael posts. And so we try to do at least 1 to 2 videos a day, perhaps 2 to 3, depending on what we're seeing and what we're exposing. So with that, I bid you farewell. Make it a great Thursday. Be safe, and we will see you in the Discord. Thanks, everyone.